I have been married to my husband for 6 years. We have 2 kids together, 8M and 4M. Our youngest is special needs. My husband also has a daughter, 12, from his previous relationship. My husband's ex has had primary custody. My husband gets my stepdaughter on weekends and alternating holidays/birthdays. This past weekend, my SD asked my husband if she can come live with him full-time. Her mom recently moved in with her fiancé and his kids, and there has been some friction with that from what I understand. Nothing nefarious, just new house, new rules, having to share a bedroom, etc. My husband didn't give her an answer either way. He said he would look into it. When he and I were discussing it, I had the following objections. SD and our kids do not get along. It is something we have worked on for years, in and out of therapy, and it just ain't happening. SD resents mine for existing, and is cruel towards my youngest for their disabilities. There have been issues with her bullying. My oldest is very protective of his little brother and hates SD for being mean to his brother. He has started physical altercations with her over it. The truth is that most of the time we have SD, I make arrangements to take the boys to visit their grandparents, or husband takes her out of the house for daddy-daughter time to avoid conflict. I cannot imagine how living together full-time would be for them. We really don't have room. We have a 4BR home. Both my husband and I work from home, so we can be a caretaker for my youngest. Due to the nature of his disabilities, it is really not feasible for him and my oldest to share a room. It wouldn't be safe or fair for my oldest. My SD's room is used as my WFH office space during the week. I arrange my vacation time and whatnot around her visitation so I can stay out of her space while she is here. I have to take very sensitive phone calls, and I need a closed door when I work, so common areas are out, and my husband uses our bedroom as his home office, so that's out too. We don't currently have room in the budget to make an addition to the house or remodel non-livable spaces at the moment. My husband hears my objections and understands them, but he wants to go for it and figures that everything will eventually work out. He doesn't want his daughter to think he is abandoning her. And I feel for the girl. It would be awful for your dad to say no when you ask if you can live with him. But I have my own kids to think about too, and I just do not believe that her living here is in their best interest at all, considering their history and our current living arrangements. Does saying no to this put me in evil stepmom territory? Edit, for the people who want to make me into an horrible homewrecker to go along with being an evil stepmom. Sorry to disappoint, but we did not have an affair. My husband and my stepdaughter's mom were never married. They were never in a relationship. They were friends with benefits. They bartended together, would shoot the bull, and would sometimes get drunk and fudge. My husband claims he needed beer goggles cause she really isn't his type. When my SD's mom found out she was pregnant, she told my husband she was keeping it and asked if he wanted to be in the baby's life. They never lived together, except for a few weeks during the newborn stage to help out. Yes. I had my first before I married my husband. My husband and I were in a long-term relationship when I had a birth control malfunction. My husband and I discussed what we wanted to do, and we both decided we wanted to raise the child. A few days later, my husband proposed. I wanted to take time to recover from birth and wait until our kiddo was old enough to pawn him off on the grandparents for the week so husband and I could enjoy our wedding. We didn't get married until my oldest was 2. Edit 2, regarding my youngest son's disabilities, SD's bullying, and my oldest starting fights, since there is a lot of projection and speculation. My youngest son has both physical and mental disabilities. He uses multiple kinds of medical and therapy equipment. My SD has shoved him out of his wheelchair. She has pinched him hard enough to leave bruises. She has hit his face when he was having trouble verbalizing. IDGAF if this is normal sibling behavior. It is alarming enough to me that I feel it is best for my youngest to spend as little time as possible with her until this behavior completely stops, and I will say it has lessened quite a bit. We went through a period of it happening frequently, and it has slowed. The last incident was 2 months ago when SD grabbed my son's wheelchair and aggressively pushed him out of her way because he was blocking the hallway. One of the times that my son had started an altercation with her was because she had told my son that his brother was not a real person and that she was going to call the hospital to have him taken away so they could perform experiments to find out what it was. She went into detail about things they would do to him, like ripping his fingernails out. And yes, my son did lose his temper and hit her. My son was immediately disciplined, loss of tablet time, and we had an age-appropriate discussion about how his heart is in the right place to want to protect his little brother, but he needs to find an adult when something like that happens. This was not made up. Stepdaughter admitted she said it to my husband when he was able to sit her down and talk with her later in the day. I am not allowed to discipline or have parenting talks with SD per Biomom's wishes. I am not welcome to be a part of SD's therapy journey, mostly per Biomom's wishes. She does not want me involved. My husband has always been worried about rocking the boat with Biomom on these things. So I do not know the extent of what therapeutic treatments she has had. I do know she does go to therapy during the week, and my husband has gone to sessions, but it isn't something he is free to discuss with me. So I am in the dark about that. Edit 3, there's someone in the comments who claims to be my sister-in-law. They are either a troll or are mistaken. My husband is an only child. I don't have a sister-in-law. Commenter, NTA. It seems your stepdaughter is the single common factor in the issues with blended families. She only wants to live full-time with you because she's been spoiled by the efforts you make to keep the peace on weekends. She's delusional. OP, I do believe she has a very different idea of what living here full-time would be than the reality of it, yes. But she's a kid. When she is here, 90% of dad's attention is on her because of the visitation arrangement and interpersonal issues between her and our sons. I honestly don't think she is going to like the daily grind here any more than she likes it at her new house. Commenter, my concern would be why she wants to leave. Is there more to this story? If she wants to leave because of abuse or neglect, then I think while her moving in may not be a permanent solution, doing nothing would make YTA. That being said, if she wants to leave for something minor like, she wasn't allowed staying up late on a weekend, then, I think the bio parents need to EA citizen and sort it are. OP, she is upset that she has to share a room with her soon-to-be stepsister. Stepsister is moving out in the fall and just needs it for weekends home and holiday breaks. And bio mom and her partner decided that all kids will follow the same set of rules in their household, so she has new limitations about screen time and more household responsibilities. Nothing nefarious like abuse or neglect. OP on having all spaces for all kids including SD and should prioritize the children's spaces over her office space. OP, the house had plenty of room for 3 kids when we bought it. Unfortunately, when my son was 8 months old, he had a seizure. And then very quickly after that first seizure 11 more as we raced to the emergency room. After that, all of our lives changed forever. Both my husband and I had to restructure our entire careers to provide the level of care he has needed. If I do not prioritize my desk, then none of the kids are gonna have a home. That's just the reality that we face. Both my husband and I need to work in order to keep our home, keep up with medical expenses, and keep everyone housed, clothed, and fed. We've done our best to make sure that SD still feels like it is her room. It is decorated the way she wants. She has permanent personal items here. Closet full of her own clothes so she doesn't have to pack between homes. We've given her a locking trunk for privacy. But, yeah, I need to have office space to keep my job. So the rule is that she clears off the desk before leaving and I put up a room divider in that corner and make myself a little cubicle when she is not here. I have to have private space with a door for my job. I will be fired if I do not have that. I cannot work in common areas. My company takes client privacy and security very seriously. OP on the relationship between her children and her husband/the father, his relationship with SD's mom. Yes, I had my first with my husband before we were married. He proposed to me after we found out I was pregnant and I wanted to take some time after the birth of our first before we got married. My husband and my SD's bio mom were never married and never in a relationship. They had a casual sexual relationship. Update number 1. So last week my husband and I sat down together and talked about SD coming to live with us full-time and how that would work out. It was a difficult discussion because, as some Redditors had suggested, I really pushed hard for him to really think things through and figure out the obstacles. Where would he and I work? Common areas are out due to the nature of our jobs. I can't due to employer restrictions. He does some NSFW things in his we don't want the kids to see. How are we going to handle the animosity and bullying between the kids? What consequences would be in place? We talked about what expectations would be for SD living here full-time versus just weekends. About how she probably has unrealistic expectations about what the nitty-gritty life here is like. We talked through very possibility we could come up with, including out there possibilities like selling out home or separating our household and living apart for a while. We ran numbers to see how it may affect our finances. And ultimately we agreed that the answer was not yet, with a goal for our family working towards it. And that the best course of action would be to slowly adjust the amount of time she spends in our home versus a sudden custody switch. So Friday night my husband took SD out to talk to her about everything. He explained to her that she wouldn't have her own room at our place for a couple years, but that is something that is on the top of the list for home improvements once our youngest's handicap accessibility renovations are paid off. He talked to her about what expectations of living with us would be like. That she would have chores and responsibilities. And most importantly, they talked about the bullying and laid down the provision that we needed to see her relationship and attitude towards her brothers improve before she can live here full-time. SD obviously wasn't thrilled about any of this, but she said okay, and that she would do better with her brothers. So Saturday I made arrangements for my parents to watch our sons, and we invited SD's mom over so we could all sit down and figure out how SD can start to spend more time here. And that is when it fell apart. Mom is not okay with a change in custody at all. Absolutely not, was her answer. She took SD home early Saturday. My husband tried to reach out to SD on Sun to see how she was and ask if she wanted to do their guitar lesson over Skype or something since her mom took her home early, but she never responded. He called SD's mom and she informed him that SD had lost her phone privileges. So we don't really know what is going on with all that. Relevant comments. OP on why her SD lost her phone privileges when SD was with her mother. OP, turns out she threw her phone at her mom's face, hitting her mom and cracking the screen. Mom isn't giving it back until SD has paid off the deductible. We do have alternative forms of contact with SD at this time. OP on her SD's reasons for wanting to live with her dad and her. And if the bio mom knew about the plans. OP, no, SD's mom didn't come to us. SD asked weekend before last if she could live with us instead because her and her mom recently moved in with her mom's partner. My husband told her that we would need to discuss it and figure out if it was a possibility. We didn't talk to bio mom until after we know what our answer was. As soon as mom found out SD wanted to spend more time with us, she shut it down immediately. I know a lot of people have been speculating that my SD may be being abused in the comments. And I understand the concern, and I know that it can happen to anyone. But I don't have any reason to believe that is happening here. Mom's new partner isn't exactly new. They've been together 5 or 6 years I think now. SD has spent lots of time with her soon-to-be stepdad. Moving in together is the new thing. My SD does have a good relationship with my husband and she has not confided anything to my husband about stepdad making her uncomfortable. I believe that she would, but I won't discount the possibility she wouldn't. From my understanding, the issues in her new home are more to do with having to share her bedroom with her new soon-to-be stepsister and adjusting to a new set of household rules. OP on what her husband does for a living. OP, nothing exciting. He does video editing. He has clients who do adult content. They send him the raw footage they film and he makes it into saleable videos for them and teaser trailers and stuff. He also edits YouTube videos, special event videos, and even local commercials. The way we see it, everyone's money spends the same. One day he edits the commercial for the local church's annual yard sale, and the next some hot chick getting a Cleveland steamer. We just have to be really careful about when and where he edits the naughtier videos so none of the kids walk in on him. We try to make sure he only does those when I'm not working so he can stay behind a locked door with headphones on. Update 2. My husband and I recently found out his daughter isn't biologically his. He is spiraling. I don't know what to do. My husband has a daughter that predates our relationship. We also have 2 children of our own, one of which is severely disabled. He and his daughter's bio mom never had a formal custody arrangement, but due to some recent drama and changes, it became apparent we needed to get something formal and court-ordered in place. So we consulted an attorney. While on that course we discovered that my husband wasn't listed on the birth certificate. We had paternity testing done. My husband is not the biological father. He is absolutely devastated. He's spiraling. He's hurting so bad, and I can't do anything to take his pain away. We've hugged and cried together so many times this week. He's not okay. He's flip-flopping through despair and anger. The anger scares me. His knuckles are all fudged up from punching something. He wouldn't talk to me about what happened. Shit is falling apart at home. My husband is in no place to be a father and partner right now. I send our oldest to my sisters, but my youngest is having a really bad week with his medical issues. I think he picks up on the stress/mood of the house. We had to go to the last night due to the increased seizure activity. When I came home, my husband was fudging drunk. He became belligerent and demanded I have our sons tested too. He didn't even ask how our son was doing. I was so pissed off but held my tongue and walked out of the room. I left a few Gatorades and some aspirin next to him after he passed out. I'm trying to get him in to see a therapist. No dice so far. We haven't told SD or biomom yet. We've already skipped one of our regularly scheduled visitations with SD, and another is coming up soon. So that is going to need to be dealt with ASAP. I just don't know what to do. I'm so afraid right now. I don't know how much longer I can hold things together. I want off this ride. Comments. Commenter, I would try your best to be there for him while also making sure your children are not affected. This is not your fault or the kid's fault. And I would tell him if he can't at least attempt to get a better control on things then he needs to stay somewhere else because it is negatively impacting his son. And if he ain't gonna be there for them and take care of him then you will. It can have life-lasting effects on the kid and it's not fair to him. Stand up for him please. Commenter, OP, my heart goes out to you, and your husband, and your stepdaughter. It is all so awful. Is there any possible way you can have a scheduled family therapist meeting when it's your husband's time for custody? He may need to have a session or two prior to that particular session so he can get a game plan on how to tell stepdaughter. Further, the meeting with a family therapist while it's his custody time is so that he can do it in session with the therapist there. Maybe just the two of them. Is that feasible? Update 3. I had a couple people asking if I would update and let you guys know how my husband is doing now that we are a couple months out from our D-Day. Some things are better, and others are a hell of a lot worse. Not long after I posted, my husband and I had the biggest, full-blown, drawn-out fight of our entire relationship. I honestly cannot even tell you how it started. It was one of those little things that just triggered, and all the stress, anger, resentment, and other negative emotions we have been feeling were just completely taken out on one another. I took the kids and left afterwards. I refused to come home until my husband got his head out of his ass and talked to someone about all of this. The silver lining to the big blowout was it did spur my husband on to start dealing with everything. He has been to his doctor and has been prescribed medication, and he has been looking for a therapist. He did a session with one, but didn't particularly click with them. He is going to pursue others as our finances allow. My husband and I discussed his drunken demand for paternity testing. I was able to express how hurtful that was to me. He apologized fully and has decided he does not need to have our sons tested right now. We've discussed options for what we'll do if doubt continues to linger on my husband's part, but as of now no testing is being done. Husband and I are both trying our best to show each other grace on this matter. The hell of a lot worse part is what is going on with stepdaughter. My husband had to take a few weeks without visitation to get his own emotions under control. Then we had our typical weekend visit. We did not tell stepdaughter or bio-mom about the test results yet, as we were still considering our options for the next move. My husband had ultimately decided that he still wanted a relationship with his daughter and still wanted to pursue legal custody. The attorney we had consulted suggested that with our state's laws and the established parental relationship, we should have a claim and could likely get court-ordered partial custody, but it would be a more complicated legal case. So that's all fine and dandy, but my husband, in a very boneheaded move, did not play his cards close enough to his chest with bio-mom. Several weeks ago they had a verbal altercation. We have not been able to get in contact with bio-mom, her fiancé, or stepdaughter since. We contacted the police, who told us this was a civil matter and we needed to go through the courts, so no help there. Sorry. I wish I had a happier update, or more of an update in general. Relevant comments. OP on giving her husband peace of mind. OP, what about my peace of mind? Of having a husband that trusts me? I told him we could have the tests done, but we will be doing couples counseling along with it. Of course it does. Which is why I've been helping him find a therapist and covered his copay when he was short. It's why I have been taking the lion's share of household responsibilities while he is adjusting to his new anxiety medication, since they knock him on his ass. The paternity test would ease his mind and stress. You know you didn't cheat, so it shouldn't be as bad as you make it. It may ease his mind and stress, but then I am in a marriage with a man that I feel doesn't trust me, which will put my mind into a spiral and stress me the fudge out, and make me second-guess our entire marriage. We are husband and wife. One of us doesn't get to pursue a course of action for their peace of mind that causes the other to go into a tailspin. We can have tests done once we have some extra scratch, but only if my husband is willing to do counseling with me about it. That is the only way I see it happening without it destroying our marriage. OP on doing the paternity test. OP, I'm okay doing paternity tests, but only if he will do couples counseling. I will die on that hill. As of right now, husband has said he doesn't feel the need for us to do a paternity test now that he's come down a bit emotionally, and since we have a lot of other financial obligations on priority list ahead of paternity testing, it's way on the back burner. He is currently looking for an individual therapist. He had a session with one, but didn't click with them. He'll be looking for another after we catch up financially from paying the attorney and court filings. Paternity testing is not happening unless we have a couples counselor. That's a hill I am willing to both die and kill my marriage on if need be. It will put him at ease and will build his trust in you. After the decade we have been together, where we have had zero issues of infidelity or untrustworthy behaviors between us, he should not have to be building trust in me. At this point in our relationship, the trust should be there. For me, the level of distrust that he has shown in accusing me of cheating, which is what a demand for paternity testing is, means that our marriage is in deep shit. There simply is no meaningful romantic relationship without trust for me. Giving him peace of mind with a paternity test does not address the underlying trust issues. So he may get peace of mind in that regards, but doing so will cause me to doubt the entire foundation of our marriage. To be put simply, a paternity test without couples counseling will lead to our divorce. He'll get 3 envelopes. 2 with positive paternity results. 1 with my petition for divorce. Yes. I feel that strongly about it. As it is, my husband says he does not feel the need to test our kids. That it was a drunken outburst. He says he is in a better place now and hasn't brought it up again in discussion. And he does know my stance. If he still feels the need to have our kids tested, fine. We'll make it happen, but only if he also agrees to couples counseling first. OP on asking the county sheriff's office to do a wellness check on her stepdaughter. OP, they wouldn't tell us anything. I don't know what the hell went down. The first person from the sheriff's office seemed like they were going to be helpful. They said they would send someone. I don't know what Biomom said or did, but a second office came to our house and asked for documentation and told us we need to take this up with the court.